Over the last 5 years, our business has evolved, obviously, and I'm quite sure that the most common presenting issue, by presenting issue I mean the reason that a potential client comes to North Group, is to talk about some form of leadership transition. Could be a family, it could be a non-family closely held organization. In many cases it could be a nonprofit or ministry organization. They're thinking about the future and they're not quite sure how to get there. Leadership transition is just a huge, huge deal in the United States, and it's a huge deal in our economy. I read some statistics lately that indicate that 33% of family businesses will face a CEO or ownership transition in the next 5 years. It's even more acute in the nonprofit arena, where it's estimated that 50% of nonprofit top executives will retire in the next 5 years. That's a sustainability issue for organizations. Leadership transition is a really, really big deal. When I talk to organizations about entering into a leadership transition process, because it's certainly a process and should not be treated as an event, I often tell them that leadership transition is not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. So I have a bit of basic advice that I've picked up over the years, some of which you may have heard in a prior conversation, a vlog conversation that I had with my retiring partner, Dennis Clemmer. Number one is absolutely start early. If I were talking with any of those 33% of family businesses or those 50% of nonprofit organizations that are facing leadership transition in the next 5 years, that would be the first piece of advice I would give them. I would say, start early. The second piece I would say is, if you are that person, if you are that owner, that CEO, that top leader, initiate the conversation yourself. Do the advanced thought, do the advanced conversation, do the advanced work that gets you to a point where you can actually voice the idea that you are not immortal. You need to step out at some point. It's much better for you to initiate that conversation than for other people to have to start to ask, to wonder, or in some cases even force the beginning of a process because you're no longer as effective or focused as you used to be. Third is, immediately begin sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience with people who have an opportunity to grow in your organization and perhaps take on some of the responsibilities that you've had for so many years. I find that many entrepreneurs are not that great at teaching. But I'm not even necessarily talking about teaching. I'm just talking about sharing your experiences, what you've learned, what you've done wrong, what you've done right. People are smart enough to apply that to their own experience, their own situation. People can really learn from your experience, your wisdom, and your knowledge. Share it at every turn. And finally, I would of course say this, seek some objective help. Now, of course, we would love if that help would be North Group, but there's many other sources of help. Your board of directors, your leadership team, your family should all be involved in the conversation about leadership transition. Leadership transition is a really, really big deal, and it's not easy to do. So I believe your leadership transition will go much better if you start early, initiate the conversation yourself, liberally share your wisdom, knowledge, and experience, and seek the objective help of your leadership team, your board, and perhaps even an outside consultant.